Hey there, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. In this episode of the podcast, I'm going to be checking out Tramontane Designs. This is a designer from Spain who reached out to me and said, help. I would love to get some feedback, and I'm happy to give that feedback. So let's jump in here. I've got 4 very specific things to help this designer. 120 designs. And the problem that we're running into is we've got 120 designs, which is a decent amount, especially for a starter. And as I scroll on down, though, to the bottom, I do see only 11 favorited. And that would be a problem. That's the universe telling this designer that it's not working right now. And so I'm going to hopefully give 4 pieces of advice that'll help righten the ship a little bit. And we'll see if we can get more eyeballs on these and other designs. Let's go. Hey there, guys. We've got a sponsor for this podcast, and it's my own other channel. So this is my second YouTube channel that I started up recently. It's called Crafty Stacks. So if you like hearing from me, if you want to hear me kind of ramble on about, artist resources, this hopefully will be a good opportunity. I go real deep dive into some of the online things. Like, for example, I do a deep dive on horror comics, and I do a deep dive on Photoshop things, like where you can go to get resources for artists. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. If you're interested in my sister channel, it's my videos, it's all me, but it's called Crafty Stacks, and it's growing like gangbusters. So feel free to jump on board and hit the subscribe button. All right, let's jump into the video here. All right, let's jump in and see what's going on here with Tramontane Designs. We've got 120 designs up, so I think you know what my first piece of advice is going to be. It's going to be, let's get this up to 500. 120 designs is good. 500 is better. Ultimately, you want to shoot for 1,000. Now, it sounds like in our correspondence back and forth, it sounded like you're definitely interested in this, but you're getting a little disheartened just because you are uploading lots of designs, but you're just not seeing any sort of traction whatsoever. So I want to focus on my remaining three pieces of advice is to look at, my first thing is going to be fonts. Okay, so I'm going to talk about fonts, but think of it in a larger picture. The idea here is that I'm just going to use this climbing as my thing. It's my thing as an example. You want to think about why people are going to Redbubble. And one of the things that will scream that it's an amateur design or it's not a professional design is your font. So your font is probably the number one thing, the easiest thing to change about a design and make it more professional looking. And so the reason I mention that is because this sort of font, it's like a Calibri font, or it's like a regular font you would find in Word or Excel. This is not the type of font you'd probably want to use for print on demand. And I'm going to show you some quick options here that are free that you can use as well. So that's my first piece of advice, is you probably want to drop this font just because it's not visually appealing for designs. Okay, so I'm on a website here called 1001font.com. And this is one of my favorite websites. And what you want to do is scroll on down to find fonts that have a little green tag. So these red ones say it's free for personal use. You want the green tags that say it's free for commercial use. And these are way better than using your default fonts. I'm just going to click to page 5, just completely at random here. And you can just see there's just totally, there's lots of different fonts. Now you're going to have to scroll through to see commercial ones, but you've got a bunch of different ones here. So for example, I'm just going to go to like poster. And you can see here, these are like way more exciting to look at than just regular font, right? So that font, like when you compare them side by side, it's not even close. So I'm guessing you're using some sort of a graphics design program that's not super high end. Maybe it's a free account or something. So what you may want to do is make a decision at some point if you're going to either try to pick a font that's a little more professional looking, or like you may just say, look, text designs just aren't my thing. And that's okay too, right? You don't have to have text in your design. So if you're going to pursue text and you have the ability to get these free fonts down, then I would 100% recommend going to 1001fonts.com and just pull in all the free fonts that you can. So that's an idea. Or just eliminate the fonts and just say, you know what, I'm not going to be the font guy. And that's okay too. The next thing I want to mention is you've got a featured collection here at the top, and the featured collection is called artboard prints. That's really, really limiting what these designs could be. And so what I would recommend is you'd probably want to re-up this collection and call it something else or feature something else. It's regardless of what product you're selecting. Like if I had, this would be like me having a featured collection and calling it t-shirts. It'd be like, it doesn't really make any sense because Redbubble sells t-shirts and they sell artboard prints and masks. The only time you'd really want to do this featured, like to have a collection that's product specific, is for something like maybe masks or jigsaw puzzles or backpacks, something where the template is so specific that when you see like a mask and it's got like a guy chomping on a cigar or a guy who's got like all duct tape or something, like it's something specific that would only work on that product. But for these art prints, I mean, these are nice looking art prints, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing wrong with putting these on a t-shirt or a coffee mug or a postcard or something like that. So it's just an idea to maybe rejig the featured collection and call it maybe nature, like just as an example, or landscapes or animals in nature or the great outdoors. Like you could call it something else that's a bit more all-inclusive. And then that opens up all of these designs to be on 55, 65, 75 more products, right? Okay, so quick recap. We want to do more designs. We want to make sure your featured collection has maybe a different name. And then we want to tackle the fonts, right? So something like this, Life Begins, we want to make sure this font would be a bit more professional looking, a bit more bold, I guess maybe is a better way to put it. And then my fourth piece of advice really is to make sure that your product descriptions are matching what is in the picture. So here you've got his and her bed cover. And it's a fun, I can understand the funny design. You've got hers and it takes up the majority of it, and then you got his. I mean, I can relate. And so it's like one of these things where this is great, but it only works on a bed cover. So you'd probably want to like remove the other products. So this is kind of the opposite advice of the last one. Like you can view this on 8 products, but it's like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense if you're calling it a bed cover and then it's like, but it's on a tote bag. Now, somebody might buy it. Somebody might go, oh, that's hilarious. But just take a really good hard look at what is available, like what the product is available on. And I would probably at this stage, if I'm just being completely honest, I wouldn't worry about individual products. Like this was a lot of work to design, but it's only going to go on one product. Why not just take a public domain photo of a bird and stick it on 70 products? Like you're getting a 70-to-1 more chance at getting a sale, right? So I would remove the idea that you're trying to pursue singular products. You can do that once you've got 4,000 designs up. I mean, I do that. I pursue single, products, but they're usually one-offs for my friends, right? Somebody will come up to me and say, hey, can you make me a purse? And the purse says blah, 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 blah. It's like, all right, I'll throw it up on Redbubble and it's just for this one person, right? So that's a different style of selling than it would be if you're just starting out and you want to get 500 designs activated on every single product, and they're within collections that are, comprehensive, right? Like just to give you a full disclaimer here, these collections don't really speak to me. Like for example, you've got miscellaneous, right? Miscellaneous, and that's not really a collection. Like nobody's going to get excited about clicking on it. They might if they're really curious. But these don't really mean a lot. Zen Garden is probably the best just because you go, oh, okay, that's going to be like, it gives you an emotion. It gives you something to get excited about. Camping, hiking, and sports. You may just want to rejig this collection name and just be something maybe like outdoor activities. Something that's a little more like wildlife is good. Landscape, you may want to have something that's a bit more punchy, something that's like, the beautiful outdoors, something like that. So that's just my, some quick tips and tricks here for you regarding your designs. The last piece, maybe a little piece of bonus advice. I'm just going to click on this miscellaneous one here. The last piece of advice is just every design is just completely different. I mean, they could not be more different. Here you've got small patterns, white space. Here you've got just a picture. These are flowers. This is text. This is different text with a background. This is text with no background. This is text with a background. It's so different that when I go into a collection, I'm like, I don't know what this is. Now, I admit I've clicked on miscellaneous. So let me just click on maybe landscape, for example. So landscapes to me is a bit more homogeneous. It's a bit more the same. Okay. So it's like, this is really nice. This is visually pleasing to my eye because it's all similar. It's not as jarring, right? It's like listening to, if you spent an hour listening to music, generally people listen to the same type of music within that hour. Well, this is like the same type of music. These are all landscapes. I'm interested in a landscape. That's why I clicked on the collection. And now I have options within there that are similar. You may want to remove this black and white one, stick in another one and call it black and white. And because if somebody wants a black and white photo, they're very peculiar about black and white versus color. So that's an idea. Pull that one out and throw it in to a different, design. Another one you may want to think about, and this is just personal preference. This is weird because there's a thing in Redbubble called optimized where when you list your design, it says, what do you want to have be your primary thing? You may just want to have them all be the same. You may just want to have them all look as art prints to be your default setting, or sticker or something like that. Because this is my personal preference, I don't like how different everything looks. Now, some people do. They get excited. They go, it's on a water bottle, it's on a print, it's on a hoodie. I personally get annoyed by that when I look at it, but Redbubble seems to think this is optimized. I don't know. I don't personally do it. I stick everything on the same type of product in my store for at least my featured collection anyway. And I just find it's much more pleasing to the eye. So again, I don't know that any of these tips will work. I can't guarantee that these tips will work, but what I would recommend is try some of these and then see if you're getting any more traction, see if you're getting any more likes, any more follows, if you make a sale, that sort of thing. But the idea would be to pick maybe 5 collections and then really drill down on them. So for example, like landscapes, and just say, look, I'm going all in on landscapes. I'm going to Pixabay. I'm going to Unsplash. I'm going to these public domain websites. I'm pulling the nicest high quality pictures and I'm going to make sure that they're formatted correctly. And I'm going to put them up on every piece of product possible and see if anybody bites on that. If you're a local photographer, good grief. You live in Spain. This is like my dream. Your backyard is probably, I would be like in tears. It's so beautiful. I would recommend going out and maybe having a Spain collection. And, because somebody like me, for me, I live in little tiny Canada, nobody, this is not exotic to me. Spain is exotic to me, but it's probably the opposite for you. You're thinking, I live in Spain, who cares? Well, lots of people do. That's a beautiful, beautiful country. So I would recommend having a Spain collection set up and then go out and just take some nice photos. Now that way you own the copyright, you can make them as arty as you like, and it kind of reinvigorates your passion a little bit for selling a product, because someday someone's going to buy a magnet or a sticker or a t-shirt with your picture on the front of it. Now you can sell yourself for real that you're a professional photographer, that you're a professional graphic designer. So that's just an idea if you're looking for a way to kind of jump back into the emotional pool there and get excited about stuff. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. A couple tips and tricks there for you. You're off to a great start. 120 designs. You've got a couple really good looking collections here. You just want to keep that momentum going. So yeah, hope you found that helpful. Have a great day, everyone. And thank you so much for watching. And as always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing about the comments, by the way. I actually get quite a kick when I read through the comments. I obviously can't respond to every one of them, but if you've got a question or if you'd like to be featured, feel free to throw your name into the ring and I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much, everyone.